Namo Buddhaya. Welcome back to our journey through the life story of our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha. Dear children, in the last episode, we learned about Prince Siddhartha's childhood. Do you remember? What did we learn? We learned about how Queen Prajapati became Prince Siddhartha's stepmother and how she took care of Prince Siddhartha. And then we talked about how Prince Siddhartha went to school and how he learned all different subjects. And we talked about his extraordinary memory powers. And then we talked about an example of how compassionate Prince Siddhartha is. We talked about the story about the swan, about how Devadatta shot a swan and how that swan fell right in front of Prince Siddhartha, and how Prince Siddhartha treated the swan's wound and helped it recover. And what happened after? Yes, Devadatta was very mad that he complained about Prince Siddhartha to court. And in that battle, who won? Yes, Prince Siddhartha won the battle, and he is the one who got the swan. He became the owner of the swan. So that was the childhood of our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha. So my dear children, little by little, Prince Siddhartha was growing up. Years passed by, and Prince Siddhartha became a young man. He finished school, and he was a master in all his subjects. What were the subjects that he learned? Yes, a few of the subjects that he learned were languages, swordplay, archery, art, and music. Since he was a very clever boy, he mastered all those subjects. And by now, he was a young man. Now remember, King Suddhodana wanted to make sure that this prince had everything he'd ever need. So he led a very luxurious life, a very comfortable life. King Suddhodana made Prince Siddhartha 3 palaces. How many palaces? 3 palaces. One was for the hot season. The second one was for the cold season. And the third one was for the rainy season. And they were named Ramya, Suramya, Subha. What were the 3 names? Ramya, Suramya, Subha. And in these palaces, there were beautiful lotus ponds. One palace had a red lotus pond. The second palace had a white lotus pond. And the third palace had a blue lotus pond. What were the 3 colors? Yes, one had a red lotus pond, the second one had a white lotus pond, and the third one had a blue lotus pond. And so, for each of the seasons, Prince Siddhartha would stay at these beautiful palaces. They were so beautifully made, and there were maidens to serve all his needs. During the rainy season, Prince Siddhartha would go to the top story, and he would never come down for the whole season. He would stay at the top story and spend the entire season there. There were many maidens, beautiful maidens, to serve him, to feed him. There were only women around. He was entertained by beautiful maidens. There were dancers to entertain him, beautiful dances. There were singers to entertain him, and there were many maidens who played different instruments, violins, drums, flutes. In this way, my dear children, Prince Siddhartha stayed at the top story, being entertained by beautiful maidens for the whole season. Now imagine how comfortable it might have been. Not only that, Prince Siddhartha had very comfortable clothes, very soft and silk clothes to wear. He led the most luxurious and comfortable life as a youth. He had all the things he would ever need. He had everything a young man would ever need. So little by little, Prince Siddhartha reached the age of 16. Now by that age, King Suddhodana had an idea in his mind. King Suddhodana wanted to get Prince Siddhartha married. What did he want to do? Yes, he wanted to get Prince Siddhartha married. So do you know what he did? Yes, he told everyone in the royal family that Prince Siddhartha is looking to get married. And so, beautiful princesses came looking for Prince Siddhartha. Beautiful princesses dressed in beautiful clothes came to be the bride of Prince Siddhartha. Remember, Prince Siddhartha has 32 signs of a great being. He was the most handsome person on earth. So many girls, many princesses wanted to marry him. So when they came, he gave gifts to each of these princesses. And one by one, he would give the gift, and each of the princesses would leave. And towards the end, one beautiful princess came. Her name was Yashodhara. What was her name? Yashodhara. She was such a beautiful princess. She was glowing. She had golden skin. She was very much like Prince Siddhartha. She was very beautiful. She glowed so much that when she was in darkness, her beauty was able to brighten the place of darkness. She was that beautiful. She was dressed in elegant clothes and beautiful jewelry, and she came in front of Prince Siddhartha. When Prince Siddhartha saw her, he was so happy. He fell in love with her. And so he decided that she is the one who's going to be his bride. But by that time, all the gifts were given away. So he didn't have any gift to give Princess Yashodhara. So guess what he did? He removed his necklace and put it on her neck as a gift for her. So by that time, Prince Siddhartha decided that she was the one that's going to be his beautiful bride. But my dear kids, there was a problem. Princess Yashodhara's father, King Buddha, didn't like the idea of his daughter getting married to Prince Siddhartha. Why is that? Yes, because King Buddha heard that Prince Siddhartha was going to become a Supreme Buddha. He had heard that Brahmins at the naming ceremony said this young prince is one day going to leave home and become a Buddha. So since King Buddha knew this, he didn't want his daughter to marry Prince Siddhartha because he didn't want his daughter to be left by Prince Siddhartha. So King Buddha said King Buddha said to King Suddhodana that he does not want Princess Yashodhara to get married to Prince Siddhartha. So King Suddhodana came and told this to Prince Siddhartha. And how do you think Prince Siddhartha felt? He must have felt sad. He was sad that King Buddha wouldn't give his daughter away to Prince Siddhartha. So guess what he said? He said, "My dear father, no, I'm going to marry Yashodhara. I'm definitely going to marry Yashodhara." King Buddha also thought that Prince Siddhartha wasn't capable of doing anything. Remember, Prince Siddhartha lived in the palaces and he was taken care of by all the maidens. He didn't have to do anything. Because of that, King Buddha thought that Prince Siddhartha isn't capable. He thought, if a war happened in the city, Prince Siddhartha wouldn't even be able to fight in the war. So when Prince Siddhartha heard this, he said, "All right, then I shall show my skills to the Shakyan clan." What did he say? "All right, I shall show my skills to the royal family." So he asked the royal family to gather around. And so everyone gathered around in the outdoors. And Prince Siddhartha went to show his skills, went to show his power. The royal family thought that this Prince Siddhartha was very delicate, that he was very soft, that he couldn't do anything, that everything had to be done for him. Because remember, he lived a very comfortable and luxurious life. That's why they thought that. But we know that Prince Siddhartha is a clever young man. So when everyone was gathered around, Prince Siddhartha went to the middle and he started to show his skills. Guess what he did? He asked 4 people, 4 shooters that were very skilled shooters, to stand on either side in the playground. So 4 shooters were standing on the 4 corners of the playground, and the whole family was watching this. He asked servants to go and stand next to each of these shooters. And Prince Siddhartha gave 30,000 arrows to these 4 shooters. And he said, "Dear shooters, shoot these 30,000 arrows at me." What did he say? Shoot these 30,000 arrows at me. Now remember, these are very skilled shooters. They can shoot so fast that they can shoot even faster than the speed of light. They were that skilled. So Prince Siddhartha gave these 30,000 arrows to these shooters, and he asked them to shoot these arrows at him. So these shooters started to shoot the arrows at Prince Siddhartha, who was in the middle. Now from all 4 sides, rains of arrows are coming down at him. It was so loud. Everyone was watching this very surprised. So all those 30,000 arrows were being shot at him. It was like a rain of arrows coming towards Prince Siddhartha. Now guess what Prince Siddhartha did? He took an iron rod and he used that iron rod to prevent the arrows from hitting him. He maneuvered the iron rod in all directions to prevent the arrows from hitting him. He was that skilled. Now imagine a person trying to prevent 30,000 arrows all shooting at him at once, a rain of arrows. Imagine how skilled a person must be to prevent all those arrows from hitting him. Prince Siddhartha was that skilled. Now the family was watching this and they were wowed. They were so surprised at Prince Siddhartha's skills. Not only that, my dear children, after those 30,000 arrows were shot, Prince Siddhartha was able to stop all those arrows. He didn't let a single arrow hit him. And guess what he did after? He asked those shooters, he told them, "Shooters, you weren't able to shoot me. So now I'm going to shoot all 4 of you with just 1 arrow." What did he say? He said, "You couldn't shoot me, but I can shoot all 4 of you with just 1 arrow." So he put a string at the back of 1 arrow and he tried to shoot it. But the shooters were scared because he knew how skilled Prince Siddhartha is. So they were scared and they ran away. Now Prince Siddhartha wanted to show his skills. So guess what he did? He put 4 bananas on the 4 corners. And then he shot the arrow so that the arrow hit all of those 4 bananas. And the arrow carried those bananas at the end of the arrow, and it went all around and came back to Prince Siddhartha's hand. Now imagine how skilled Prince Siddhartha must have been to do that. Not only that, my dear children, Prince Siddhartha was very powerful physically. He was able to shoot 100 wood pieces bound together. When he shot the arrow, it would pierce through 100 wood pieces and it would show up from the other end. Now imagine how powerful a person must be to do that. Not only that, Prince Siddhartha was able to shoot so that the arrow would pierce through seven different tree trunks and appear out from the 7th tree trunk. That's how fast and powerful Prince Siddhartha could shoot. Now the royal family was watching this. Remember? When they were watching this, they were clapping and cheering. They were so happy to see Prince Siddhartha's amazing skills. Not only that, my dear children, during the ancient times, there was a bow that was very heavy. It was said that 1,000 people were needed to carry this bow. But Prince Siddhartha was able to carry this bow. He was able to shoot an arrow by himself. Now imagine how powerful and strong Prince Siddhartha must have been to shoot and carry a bow that required 1,000 people to carry it. He was a very powerful person. He was a very strong person physically. So my dear children, when the royal family saw this, they were very surprised. They realized that Prince Siddhartha was not as delicate as they saw. They realized that he wasn't as delicate as they first thought of him to be. They understood that Prince Siddhartha was a very strong and powerful person. They realized that he had mastered all subjects, that he was an amazingly skilled person. So at that time, King Buddha agreed to give Princess Yashodhara to Prince Siddhartha. And so, Prince Siddhartha was very happy. After showing his skills to the royal family, he was able to marry Princess Yashodhara. My dear children, Princess Yashodhara was the most beautiful person in the country. She was the most beautiful woman in the country. She had golden skin, just like that of Prince Siddhartha. And so a royal wedding took place. Prince Siddhartha and Princess Yashodhara got married. Many people came to the wedding. The whole kingdom was decorated by King Suddhodana. King Suddhodana was very happy. Why was he happy? Yes, because now that Prince Siddhartha got married, he thought that Prince Siddhartha would never leave home. So Prince Siddhartha and Princess Yashodhara lived in those 3 palaces, Ramya, Suramya and Subha, very happily. Princess Yashodhara was an amazing wife. She made sure that Prince Siddhartha had everything he'd ever need. Sometimes she danced for him, she sang for him. She was a very good wife. And in the same way, Prince Siddhartha was a very good husband. She treated Princess Yashodhara with love and kindness. She went with her everywhere. He went to the playground with her. He went to different entertaining places with her and enjoyed himself with her. They lived a very happy life. Unlike other princes, Prince Siddhartha didn't go looking for other women to have fun and to find entertainment. He always stayed with Princess Yashodhara. But little by little, Prince Siddhartha started to change. And Princess Yashodhara started to notice this change. Sometimes Prince Siddhartha would go to the playground with his friend Mahayana, and they would spend a long time there, and they would talk about very deep things about life. Sometimes Prince Siddhartha went to the playground to go horse riding, and sometimes he went to the playground to do sports. But every time he went to the playground, instead of playing sports or going horse riding, Prince Siddhartha and Mahanama would end up talking about life. Little by little, Prince Siddhartha started to change. And Prince Siddhartha talked about this with Princess Yashodhara as well. He started to think about life deeply. He thought that there must be something that's more than this regular life we live, eating, playing sports, going riding, looking at dances, and singing. He thought there must be something more to life than this. And little by little, he started to think deep about life. Now when Princess Yashodhara saw this change, she felt sad. But she knew that Prince Siddhartha was a very good person. Sometimes Prince Yashodhara herself started to think about life. And sometimes they would talk for hours about this subject. So my dear children, Prince Siddhartha and Princess Yashodhara lived a very happy married life for a very long time. So today we learned about the life of our Prince Siddhartha. We learned about how young Prince Siddhartha became a master of all subjects. And then we talked about the 3 palaces that King Suddhodana made for him. What were the palaces? Yes, Ramya, Suramya and Subha. And we talked about how during the rainy season, Prince Siddhartha would stay at the top story without ever coming down, and how there were beautiful maidens to entertain him. And then, little by little, Prince Siddhartha grew up, and at the age of 16, what happened? Yes, King Suddhodana wanted to get his young prince married. So who did he choose as his bride? Yes, he chose Princess Yashodhara as his bride. Now, was it easy to marry Princess Yashodhara? No. He had to show his skills to the royal family in order to marry Princess Yashodhara. And did they live a happy life? Of course. Princess Yashodhara and Prince Siddhartha led a very happy married life. They were very much in love with each other. But what happened after? Yes, as years went by, Prince Siddhartha started to change. He started to think about life. He started to realize that there must be something more to life than this regular life we lead, just eating, playing, singing and dancing. Now remember, my dear children, this is the way Prince Siddhartha's train of thought changed. And this is the way that Prince Siddhartha started to look for something more than this household life. Remember, Brahmin Kondanya said that without a doubt, this prince is going to become a Samma Sambuddha. He's going to become a Supreme Buddha. So this is the first time we see the way Prince Siddhartha changes and how he looks for something that's beyond this normal world. So today we learned a lot about our great teacher's life, didn't we? So I hope you remember everything we learned today. And in the next episode, we'll learn what happened to Prince Siddhartha and Princess Yashodhara. So until next time, Namo Buddhaya.